Welcome to Life of Hair. My name's James Atkinson. Thank you for joining me in this week's episode. Now, this week's episode is a review of somebody else's video, a channel that I started to watch a little while ago. I don't know how I came across it particularly. Her name's Daniella Benita. I really like her videos. She does some great stuff. We're going to look at a video that she did a couple of months ago. It's a multitude of techniques, really, a mashup, if you will. Some backwash balayage, or as she calls it, a boliage, which I pretty like, actually. I might steal that off her, boliage. Baby lights and teasy lights. And, you know, really great way of using all three techniques and bringing them all together. And this is really kind of leading me on to making a video about when and where and how I would use each different technique. But we're not going to talk too much about that today. We're just going to take a look at what she achieves with this fantastic technique that she's got going on. I love the end result. Well done, Daniella. It's a great technique. It's a great outcome. Go to Daniella's channel, join, subscribe. She's got about 34,000, I think, maybe 35,000 subscribers. It will be linked down in the description, where you will be able to also find the link to my Patreon if you want to take your Life of Hair education one step further and participate in some exclusive live content. So it would be great to have you guys over there. It really helps to move this channel forward. And a big thank you to everybody who subscribes, likes, thumbs ups, all those things that really help the channel, notification bells and you name it, watch the adverts. It really helps bring you new, fresh content, and it gives me the time in the week to really make this a going concern rather than something that I just shoehorn in to a very busy week. It is massively appreciated. So thank you very much, guys, and I want you to have a wonderful week, and I'll see you again in another episode of The Life of Hair.
To begin this color transformation, I'm going to be using Agora Vario Blonde, and this is the Super Plus in the blue can. Why I wanted to use this product was because it lifts a lot slower than Blonde Me. So I had so much depth in her hair that I had to lift out, and I had so much to work with. I didn't want to use Blonde Me that would lift her hair too quickly, and I would have to be worrying about pulling foils the whole time. And what I'm going to begin doing is teasing the back corners of her nape. So as you can see, I teased back about 50%, and now I'm going to completely saturate her hair and then fold the foils one side in, another side in, and then almost make this like flat hot dog shape. And what that does is keeps the hair nice and flat, so it doesn't over process in weird areas when you fold it too tight.
Very interesting there about the use of product. Great information there, using a much more gentle product than she would do normally. I don't know if anybody's used the Blonde Me lighteners, but they're very powerful, and so she's going with a different product. She's working with the product for it to work with her instead of her working for the product, and that is super smart. I know I can be a little bit, should we say, lax in my videos about talking about product usage. I guess the reason I do that is because each case is different, but it does give you a fair comparison as to, especially the way she described that. So big up to her. And just a quick thing on her, like on-screen commands, you know, the step-by-step, they need to be on the screen longer, Danielle. If you're watching this, I'm dyslexic. I really struggled to keep up with reading that information. Your voiceover is brilliant. So I know it's difficult to fit it all in, and maybe sometimes in my videos, that's why I overlook the product to talk about the technique. But just anyway, pure observation. One thing I will say, for anybody that's watching this, I'm not a big fan of what I like to call spaghetti ends, where you swirl it all around in the packet. Paint it down and then fold it over and then paint up towards, you know, in the packet. So you're just bending the hair rather than swizzling it all around and then folding the foil over. Not a criticism, just an observation. I mean, obviously that will work, but I just prefer, you know, to paint down, pick the hair up, bend it over and saturate the other side. A little bit of a thing that I do there.
Now I'm taking a slice up the center of the head and completely saturating it and blending it into the tease. I'm also using a full piece of foil. I haven't cut this at all. I literally just pulled it out and flattened it. So this is a really good trick for somebody who has long hair and you need to get that full section painted. I do this all the time. And we're just gonna keep moving on up the head, doing one corner on the left, one corner on the right, and then back to the center. So once you get to the top of the head, start taking horizontal sections only, and that's going to follow your client's natural shape of their head.
So we're just going to quickly pause there. So interestingly, actually, what Daniella did there was what I was describing, where she didn't actually do the spaghetti ends thing anymore. She just folded the hair around and then painted up towards it. And if it was blonde, then she could hook it out of the way. Perfect. You know, love that. The other thing I would say about folding foils, and she just gets the edge, and she called it like a flat hot dog, is she isn't folding the foils too tightly. And she did mention that in there, that, you know, it wasn't about, you know, squishing the product and all that jazz, or creating, you know, uneven lift. But the most important thing I would say about not folding your foils too tightly is that I know that it doesn't necessarily look as neat and, you know, formulated, but the bleach works with oxygen. And if you fold it really tightly, especially if you're folding by a third and a third again, you know, different techniques of folding foils, and you're really patting all the air out of those foils, there's no oxygen in there, or there's very little oxygen. There's not no oxygen, that's not correct, but there's very little oxygen in there for it to work efficiently. So it's definitely something to remember when you're doing that. And as I just said before, I love Daniella's voiceover, but those little caption boxes, I want to hear Daniella's voice say what's in those boxes. I don't know if you feel like that too. Anyway, brilliant stuff. You know, great. I really like this video, and I specifically chose it because I really loved the end result. And I think the end result is probably, for me, the look of the moment in terms of, you know, balayage technique, or lived in blonde, as I like to call it now, because the balayage thing is kind of amalgamated into many different facets. So anyway, great stuff. Let's move on.
Now what we're going to do is flip over the last section at the top, and we're just going to leave that for the baby lights to blend with the top of the section. And then here's the back. That's what it should look like when you're done. And remember, when you are starting the client's front hairline, to always foil off of the client's part.
Just quickly jump in there. Absolutely, I get that in the comment section all the time. You know, are you working in natural fall? I don't always mention it. I do mention it in some videos, but not all of them. Work in their natural parting, guys, especially with these lived-in techniques. You need to be working in their natural partings. It's you know, it's without fail. It helps so much, especially when you're creating money pieces with side partings and those kind of things. So yeah, definitely remember to do that. It's really important.
So what we're going to do is begin at the front hairline, and I call this my extra money piece. You tease each section back on the hairline, and it's insane what type of money piece you get from teasing every piece back. So don't be afraid to blend up into the tease. It's going to create that beautiful diffused line. And I'm literally taking each and every section in the front of her hairline, 3 foils back, and teasing each section back, no hair left in between.
So just jump in there, 3 foils, no hair in between, back from the hairline, each section teased for this money piece that she's creating. And it's an absolute knockout money piece. I mean, I've got several videos on money pieces, nothing like this specifically. I did use this the other day and it was absolutely stunning. So highly recommended from my use case the other day. I just wanted to jump in there because when I very first watched this video, I struggled to keep up with this section of the video. So I'm going to break it down into smaller chunks for Daniella. But 3 foils, no spaces, back comb each section. Perfect.
So what I'm doing next is taking a section back, and I usually do about 3 foils per temple. So 1 at the bottom, the next is at the temple, and then the top one. So 9 total on each side of the head. And that's what I'm doing right here, just working my way back. And then once you finish the face frame...
Okay, so this is where I also got a bit confused when I was watching this. So she's talking about the face frame still, when she says don't miss out the temples, and she does 9 foils each side, including the temples. Basically, she's gone back 3 foils, back combed, and then she's infilling with the same technique, but with spaces in between, I believe. That's what I did when I tried this technique the other day. I haven't filmed myself doing this technique yet, but I will, because I think it looks fantastic. I did 3 foils, no spaces, back combed each one, and then I infilled with about 3 to 4 millimeter spaces in between, working back from the head until I kind of got to a point where I was in line diagonally with the top of the ear, like that. Hope that helps. It is a little bit confusing from the video to 100% understand exactly what she means in the way that she does it. I just struggled a little bit to try and translate that into... It would have been good maybe to have a picture of the whole front at this point, just so we could see it before she moved on. But anyway, I'm trying to point out where I had difficulties, and hopefully it will make your life a bit easier too.
You want to start taking horizontal sections. I'm going to tease them back about 50% and go all the way up the head to the temple with that tease.
Just to jump in very, very quickly here, I was a little bit kind of... didn't understand the terminology. I tease it back about 50%. Don't know why I couldn't get my head around it. I think what she means is she's going to tease 50% of the hair up to the root. That's how much hair it looks like she's removed. I don't usually think about it like that, and that's probably why I was struggling a little bit with the kind of trying to translate this into my techniques or the way that I think about things. But again, it was just, you know, me trying to put this technique in my shoes. And I guess for a lot of you guys out there, it's always great to be the learner and the teacher. You know, like for me, I'm learning watching this, and it helps me to teach by watching other people's stuff and trying to translate it into real life. Because all the time I'm, you know, the person that is just giving the information. If I can't help you break it down and translate it easily, then obviously it makes it very difficult. So that's one probably thing that I would, if I was going to talk to Daniella about her videos, I'd try and get her to sort of kind of make her information a bit simpler and a bit clearer, because she knows what she means, but I'm a little unsure at times.
And then once you get to where the temple starts, I'm going to start baby lighting the top, and make sure you paint all the way up to that root. What we're going to do is color melt her after this, so I want to see those really pretty lines up at the top area, and this way she's going to get like a really soft grow out having that highlight color melted.
So I just want to jump in really quickly here and talk to you about this particular section and the one that came before it. She's into baby lights now, she just mentioned it. But I really want to look at the weave style that she's done here. Now, I did a video, I don't know, last year at some point about different weaves and different effects for highlights. For me, that's a regular stitch. In fact, that's quite a big regular stitch in my eyes. And I think baby lights need to be like paper thin. You should be able to put a magazine underneath it and read the magazine, basically, in my opinion. This is quite chunky. Now, she's going to get away with it because she just mentioned she's going to do a root stretch. But guys, if you're doing baby lights and you don't want to do root stretching and stuff like that, please, please, please make them super, super fine. Anyway, just a thought, just an observation.
So for my next section, I'm going to actually start painting into the darker mids. As you can see, she has a lot of depth there, so I wanted to make sure that section was also just as bright as her highlights, so it's really connected. So if you have a client who's like that, where they have light ends but everything else is pretty much dark, just paint right down into that midsection and pop it right in the foil so they have that even, consistent highlight. Okay, so next I'm going to move on to the back and check my foils. As you can see, Angela pulls really warm, so what I'm going to do is put a little bit of heat on the back for her for 10 minutes just to help that process a little faster. And I'm also taking my comb and brushing the tease down. I just want to show you guys how pretty that tease creates these like organic highlights. So you'll see in this one especially how pretty those highlights are. So that's why I always blend up into the tease. So now what we're gonna do is bring her back to the bowl, and I've mixed my Boliage. It is 30 grams of clay lightener with 45 grams of 30 volume developer and 1/4 of Olaplex. So what you wanna do is remove all the foils, and I love to shampoo with a clarifying shampoo. That gives it like this squeaky clean fit.
Couple of things there. Heat and bleach. I don't mind a bit of heat and bleach. If you can avoid it, definitely do so. But maybe this is where like the product choice in the beginning became a bit of an issue. She picked a product that was going to lift slower, and then it ended up actually hindering her. Maybe if she'd have used, I don't know, Blonde Me and 10 Vol, she might have got the result without using the heat. Putting heat on hydrogen peroxide and bleach is always, you know, a dangerous thing to do. It can overheat, it can cause a chemical reaction, it can cause all sorts of problems. So I know that over in America, you know, heat is used a lot more than it is, say, here in Britain for sure. Like, we can't put heat on anything. Although we do have, you know, roller balls and stuff like that in the salons. Not every salon will have one, but yeah, for me, it's sometimes it's one of those things where, you know, it is like for her, she used it exactly how I would use it. It's like, okay, you know, I need this to hurry up now. But I see a lot of people just saying, oh yeah, whack it under heat, you know, leave it for however long. That is such a dangerous thing to do. You know, things can go wrong very, very quickly with heat. So she said she shampoos with cleansing cream. I'm personally really into that as well. The main reason that I'm into that is because generally cleansing shampoos, 99% of the time, are acidic. And as we probably all know by now, that acidity closes the cuticles and makes the hair condition improved instantly. It gives us better toning results, because what we're doing is we're closing all the cuticles that are like all out on end because of the bleaching process. She does it because it makes it feel squeaky clean, but I think maybe she doesn't realize that it gives her some added benefits of even porosity and closing those cuticles down pre-toning. I know she's going to do some Boliage before she moves on, but actually, you know, I'm sure she'll cleanse and cream it again and, you know, do whatever to hurt the hair pre-toning. So yeah, just something to think about. Cleansing cream shampoos, acidity, closing the cuticles, pre-toning, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's just I think something that she may not be aware that she's doing scientifically, but she knows she's getting good result from it. Does that make sense? So good stuff, Daniella. Let's move on.
Finish. I'm going to brush her out, and then I'm going to start applying the Boliage. So what you want to do is mix it with the back of a wide tooth comb, just so it's really easy. Then you're going to start painting. What I do is tightly hold, and I paint all the way up to the top, and then I fully saturate the end, taking those big like 2-inch, 3-inch sections, and then really make sure you fully saturate the ends. And I would not recommend this technique on someone who is a level 5 or deeper unless they're comfortable with warm tones. Angela's root is about a 6, so I knew she would lift to a really pretty blonde. And as you can see, I'm barely touching that root area. And you don't want to slather that front hairline at all, or it's going to grab tons of warmth.
Okay, she has done her Boliage, or we would call it a backwash balayage. I mean, I like this technique for lots of reasons. I do backwash techniques. I haven't actually done any videos, and in fact I featured them in a video a couple of times where I'm teaching classes, but I've never personally done a backwash balayage and featured it on a video. So that's something for next year, most definitely. This particular, you know, where she's talking about exposing warmth, she's only leave it for 5 minutes. Guys, if you overlap onto any of the natural hair, if you're not exclusively painting anything that is pre-lightened, you're only going to leave it on 5 minutes, you are going to throw up warmth. Now, obviously, she's using a clay lightener and she mixed it with a comb at the beginning. I mean, use a whisk. That'd be my pro tip. I don't understand the comb tip. I'm going to have to try it, though, because, I mean, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean it doesn't work. So I'm throwing that out there that I haven't tried it, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. As I generally use whisks to mix my colours with. But yeah, if you're going to do this, be really, really careful that you do not get it on the natural. She mentioned it before, but even on a natural level 6, she could throw up loads of warmth, leaving it on 5 minutes. You know, she doesn't, because, you know, she's well practiced at what she's doing. But if you're doing this for the first time and you're not too sure, only do these kind of things to clients that are level 7 and 8, maybe 9. I don't know why you'd be doing it to level 9. Maybe you'd be doing it to level 9. You wouldn't get many clients with level 9 specifically. Not unless you're, I don't know, in Scandinavian country, and then you might get more level 9 clients. But, you know, this can go quite wrong quite quickly. So it's something definitely to think about. I do really like this technique. I've got lots of videos where I do freehand painted money pieces. You know, I think maybe half a dozen of my videos have got freehand painted money pieces in them, but obviously I'm going to let them process for a lot longer than 5 minutes, so that's definitely something to bear in mind. Just a word of warning.
Now I'm toning her ends with a ½ ounce of 9T, ½ ounce of 9NA, ½ ounce of 9GB, ½ ounce of clear, and 2 ounces of processing solution. What this is going to do is give her that like buttery but almost ashy blonde. I didn't want to give her too much of an ashy tone because it really would wash her skin out. She has this gorgeous olive skin tone, so I wanted to make sure this color complemented that.
Okay, so if you've never done a root tap or a root smudge before, hot tip, go back to the section. Doing it at the bowl, I find really, really tricky sometimes. I mean, I know she's only worked in like a horseshoe on the top of the head, so it's not going to be that difficult to do. 6T and 6N. T is titanium, which is a blue-violet tone, and N is a natural made of the 3 primary colours. So this is going to be a very, very cool colour indeed. Lots of you might be thinking, why isn't she pre-pigging? If you want the hair to look silvery and very, very ashen, you don't have to pre-pig, but you do need some violet. So remember, the 6T is blue violet. The red in that violet colour will provide you with just enough fill so you don't go greeny. So remember that, guys. If you're not going to pre-pig, if you're going to do a root smudge, root shadow, nearly impossible to pre-pig, make sure there's a little bit of violet in there, copper, gold, something like that, just to fill on behalf of you going in with one colour to do a root melt, root smudge, root stretch, whatever you're going to do. I've mentioned that before in a video, but it's really, really useful tip.
So I'm going to blend down her root melt with the wet brush just to give her a little bit more of a melt, and then rinse, condition, and blow her out with Volume Hair Mist. And this is the final result, guys. You can see how beautifully blended and lightened the ends are. The root is a little softer just from that Boliage, and it's such a pretty like blend. Like the ends are perfectly light. You have that awesome face frame in the front, and the color is just so gorgeous on her skin. It's not too ashy, it's not too gold.
So let's just quickly talk about the toner formulation here. 9T, which is that silver shade, a beautiful color made up of blue and violet, which, you know, beautiful color, but very, very cooling. 9NA, Redken Shades EQ, also very, very cooling. 9GB, which is a golden beige, and it's definitely not the warmest colour under the sun. So she's saying that she's using this particular toner to kind of keep it all looking warm because she's got olive skin. This would only look warm on a reasonably warm lift, which she's got, as you could see from a couple of moments ago when she talked about her Boliage, and that, you know, she'd got that kind of warmer lift around the face, level 9. She's put a 1/4 ounce clear into this particular mix as well, which will bump it up a 1/4 of a shade. So that's taking up to approximately a 10. And when you've got level 9 hair and you've taken up to approximately a 10, you're not going to have enough tone to completely neutralize a level 9. So she is going to be left with warmth, basically. The clear is going to help her leave behind some of the warmth that she's got in the hair, because she's basically diluting it to a lighter colour. Does that make sense? So maybe wittingly or unwittingly, she's put that clear in there, and that's bumped her 9 to a 10, and she's not necessarily going to get full tonal saturation onto the level 9 hair, leaving it a little bit warmer. Whereas if she really wanted to get rid of that warmth, then the 1/4 clear needs to go, and she needs to tone her 9 with a 9. I hope that makes that as transparent as possible for you. So here is Danielle's finished result. Absolutely stunning colour. Amazing job, Danielle. Really, really pretty. Love that Mani-piece. As I said, I just used that Mani-piece technique the other day, and I really, really loved the result that I got from it. So thank you for that, Danielle. Thumbs up to you for giving me that fantastic face framing technique to use. Great result. I don't know how long this took. I'm imagining this took a pretty long time, especially with the backwash Boliage and, you know, the kind of multiple techniques that she's done in there. She mentions it's a great top up for clients that have had many, many partials and you really want to revamp the whole thing. And I'm totally down with that. We've got loads and loads of partial clients kicking around at the moment, and this would be a great technique to show your client, not the whole video obviously, but the result, and kind of encourage them to have something a little bit fancier maybe in the spring. So a great video, Danielle, brilliantly done. And as the video goes on, she does narrate the video a little bit more, but I would love to hear a little bit more from you, Danielle, with your narration, because you've got a fantastic voiceover capabilities, skill level, if you like. So wonderful job. Do go and subscribe to Danielle's channel. Check out her other videos. I know she's got loads and loads on there, and wonderful stuff, Danielle. Thank you, Danielle, for making YouTube videos. You are a shining star, a rising star, I believe, and doing some fantastic stuff. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you again for another episode of The Life of Hair very, very soon.